Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you're watching this. Welcome back to another week's episode of Closed by Mo. My name is Mohammed. You can call me Mo. I'm your host. I'm a real estate investor and I'm a realtor based out of the Empire State of New York. This week's episode is something that's very special to me, particularly because I feel like I'm almost making this video for the past version of myself. So I'm hoping this video really resonates with a lot of you that are thinking about getting into real estate investing. Now, I'm not going to be talking at all about the how-to, as in how to get into real estate investing, because I feel like there's a lot of online gurus out there that will happily sell you their overpriced course to teach you the same nonsense that you could probably teach yourself, that I taught myself too. No. This video, I'm going to talk about only a couple of the, I would say, core things that I wish I would have known before starting my real estate journey. You know, just general bits of advice that I wish someone would have given me before I made the plunge and got into my first project in late 2019, early 2020. So without further ado, let's jump right into a couple of the bits of advice that I would give to myself from a few years ago. So the first bit of advice that I would give or ask my past self is, why do you even want to get into real estate, man? You know, like there's a lot of different things you could do to make money. What is it about real estate that actually attracts you? And the reason I say that, just to give you a bit of a background, every other day there's a couple of people that will reach out to me either via LinkedIn, Bigger Pockets, which is one of the more active online forums for real estate investing, or social media, or they'll just get my number and from the flyers I sent out and just call me or text me saying, hey, I want to get into real estate investing. Where do you think I should buy? What strategy do you think I should use? How much money do you think I should put out? You know, they'll say things like, I have 50,000 or 80,000 or 100,000, 200,000 in savings and I want to put it towards real estate investing. And I always try and stop. I was like, hold your horses. You know, let's just settle down for a little bit. Because when I hear questions like that sort of come out in the first couple of minutes of a conversation when you're speaking with someone brand new, that tells me a couple of different things. Number one, this person has maybe done a little bit of research into a lot of different things, but they haven't been able to go deep into a particular topic in real estate, right? There's a lot of different ways to invest in real estate. It also tells me that they don't have their why figured out. You know, why is it that you want to get into real estate investing? I'm going to explain the reasoning behind why I asked that question, but real estate investing is a great way to build wealth and create cash flow, but there's also a lot of different other ways to do it, right? You can invest in the stock market, you can invest in NFTs, you can also invest in, fine art. You can also invest in real estate trusts, real estate funds that you don't have to be, you don't have to get involved in buying a property at all. You put your money into a real estate trust and then they invest in properties and then they give you a dividend or return, whatever it is that you want. Now, the reason why I asked that question, the why do you want to get into real estate as an active investor, is because I want to sort of hear more about how strong their core purpose is. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get into real estate investing as an active investor, to be a landlord, to make money. Hey, this is America. It's fair for everyone to make money. But the reasoning behind my why for asking why is to gauge how prepared they are, right? This is a good segue into my next point. But basically, if you're getting into real estate just to make money, or you think it's a very sexy way to, grow your wealth, yes, it is. But the moment that things hit the fan, the moment that something goes wrong, what I've experienced, even in my own personal life, is you'll fold. You'll want to give up, you're going to want to quit, and you're going to want to say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, and I need to sell my property ASAP. Now, if it was just you involved, that's okay. I guess you could really mitigate your losses by just selling as quickly as possible. But more likely than not, you're probably going to have renters living in your properties, and they might have families, and that might put them in a very awkward position if you're also trying to sell right away, right? Now, this is a great thing to take me into my next point, which is a very big myth I hear a lot about in the world of real estate investing. It's something that I think is kind of clickbaity to say nowadays. It's also very sexy to throw around, but let's jump into the next point and talk about a little bit more about what I mean. Now, the second point that I would give as a general bit of advice to my past self is really going against the grain. It's really going against the current of what a lot of real estate online gurus might peddle, or what even you might see, targeted towards you on Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok, obviously. I think a lot of times when you hear things that say active real estate investing is actually very passive, it's mail check money, I think that's a load of crap, just to be very frank, right? Every single property that you purchase, whether that is a single family or a large apartment building, every single property is a business, right? A business has revenue and a business has expenses, and at the end of the day, at the end of the year, if your revenues are more than your expenses, then you've turned a profit. Congratulations. Not everyone can say that they have, right? With any kind of business, especially if you're the owner, you're almost always on call and available, or your business suffers. And your business will suffer because if you're not available and responsive to your tenants, who are your customers, by the way, then your business is eventually going to fail, right? Now, you could counter argue and say, hey, Mo, I can hire a property manager, I can hire other contractors to go out and do the work. I don't even have to be anywhere near the property, which is completely true. But the more layers you add between yourself and the end property, the lower of a cut that you're going to receive, which might be okay for a lot of people. It might even be okay for you. I know personally it wasn't okay for me because I can be pretty greedy, at least with my first couple of investments. But what I've learned is individual and active real estate investing is a lot like sprinting, right? And what I mean by that is in the first 12 months after you purchase a property, the initial 6 months it's going to feel like a lot of sprinting. You're going to feel like you're playing catch up a lot of times because even after you've purchased the property, there's going to be a lot of different things that sort of pop up, whether minor or major. Additionally, also when you start renting it out, when you initially place tenants, there might be some initial issues that you might have to overcome. So the first 6 months are always going to feel like a sprint. This also goes back to your why in terms of why you want to get into real estate, because at least I've experienced the first 6 months as a first-time investor were completely nerve-wracking. Every single time I got a call or a text from my tenant, I felt like it was the end of the world. And it takes the experience to be able to stomach that level of uncertainty. But after a while, once you get your reps in, it's a little bit easier to manage. The situation doesn't change because with every single property, myself and you also hopefully will run into this scenario for the first 4 to 6 months, but you get better at managing it. So it's definitely not for everyone, which leads me to my third and final point in terms of exactly what, figuring out what you're trying to accomplish by wanting to get into real estate investing. Now, the third bit and final advice that I would give my past self is also in question form, and it's, what are you trying to accomplish financially? What are your actual goals? So let's assume you know your why, you really want to get into real estate, and you know that real estate investing is being an active investor, it's not being passive. The third and final advice in question is, what do you want to get out of it? Financially, what are your goals? Now, the reason I say that is because I've been, getting a lot of these random questions about, again, where should I invest? How should I get started? What do I want to be doing? To me, that tells me two things about the person, right? The first thing is, hey, they're serious enough to put themselves out there, which is fantastic, and they've done a little bit of research and they just need some guidance, which is totally fine. I'm happy to help. The second thing it tells me is the complete opposite. They haven't done enough research into it to be able to figure out what exactly, what avenue they want to pursue when it comes to real estate investing. There's only a handful of different strategies, whether you're, on an institutional level, multi-million-dollar deals, or whether you're a small investor like me, buying only single families and, small multifamilies. There's only a handful of different strategies you could use, right? One of the more popular, famous ones is the flipping. You buy something that's run down, you fix it up, and you sell it to someone else, a retail buyer. There's also the buy and hold, which is one of my favorite strategies for really nice properties. There's also the house hacking, which is something I've done with an FHA loan a couple of years ago. There's also BRRRR, which is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So there's a couple of different strategies that a person could stick to when getting into real estate. Now, my strongest advice in this case would be pick up a book, any basic type of real estate book. You don't have to pay for Real Estate Guru's classes. Get a decent book. I recommend the books on the in real estate investing forum called Bigger Pockets, to help you better understand where your risk levels lie. How comfortable are you with the different levels of uncertainty that you'll face? I say that because when I first started, I wasn't a very risk-on person. I was actually the complete opposite. I was very risk-averse, which is why I completely avoided flipping. I completely avoided wholesaling or anything to do that involved a lot of work or a lot of boots on the ground kind of involvement. Overseeing construction, contractors, things like that. I totally wanted to avoid that. So I just got into, buying a nice turnkey investment property and renting it out. And that was, that's the buy and hold strategy that you can go through, right? So there's a lot of different ways you can approach it. You just have to figure out what your actual goals are. So what are your financial goals? Do you want just cash flow? month-to-month cash flow and get a very steady, decent stream of income and slowly get your returns back, then maybe house hacking or buy and holding is for you. Do you want to invest a bunch of cash up front and then a little bit more with rehab and then cash out once you flip the property? Then obviously flipping is for you. So there's a lot of different ways to approach it. You just have to figure out what actually your end goal is and then work your way backwards from that. Now, speaking of working your way backwards, that's all for this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very excited to announce that if we haven't already launched the website, we're very close to launching it, and I'll post the link on the description below. But I really appreciate if you guys check it out. And also, please, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I hope I get these in the correct place. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And up until the next video, I'll see you guys. Have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever and whenever you're watching this. Bye, guys.